From 22nd to 24th August this month, Madame Kamala Harris has made her official visit to Vietnam and Singapore. So, what is the real intention behind this official trip? Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to AVI Voice. Today's topic is about the visit of the Vice President Kamala Harris to Singapore and Vietnam. So today we're gonna have a video call interview with Dr. Chien Van Rit, the President of the Asian Vision Institute or AVI. So hello, Dr. Chien Van Rit.
Hello.
Dr. Chien Van Rit, regarding the official visit of the U.S. Vice President Kamala Harris to Singapore and Vietnam from 22nd to 24th August, there are some major and important points we have actually noticed, especially for the ASEAN member state. First, may Dr. President briefly describe what are the major outcomes of that official visit, Doctor?
The visit marks another important milestones in the U.S. Southeast Asia relations under the framework of the Indo-Pacific strategy, and also kind of a reassurance strategy toward the region that the U.S. is here to stay. The U.S. fully committed to peace and stability and prosperity in the regions. So that is the kind of a clear signal that Southeast Asia is one of the priorities regions for the U.S. foreign policy. So on the bilateral cooperation kind of achievement, we can see that the U.S. Singapore have signed several agreements ranging from cyber security to cooperation on resilient supply chains, defense cooperations, and also climate change. So that it's quite a wide range of broad areas of cooperation. In Vietnam, we can see the new momentum of Vietnam and U.S. cooperation on maritime security cooperation because the U.S. is willing and interested in enhancing the maritime capabilities of Vietnam because Vietnam is one of the key claimant states in the South China Sea, which have quite kind of serious diplomatic differences and tension with China. So that is the key highlight. And another highlight of the trip to Vietnam is the establishment of the regional Center for Infectious Disease Control, which is again is another important development in terms of U.S. public health diplomacy in Southeast Asia. So that center in Hanoi will cover the whole region in Southeast Asia. And of course, the visit also somehow send a message to Beijing with regards to the South China Sea tension and the U.S. stand on this issue.
Yep, Dr. President, regarding the outcome you have actually described in the moment, we've noticed that for Singapore, the U.S. underscored the significant reach or the role of the ASEAN and also the core value of the free and open Indo-Pacific strategy. So within this action, I believe that it may infer that the U.S. is trying to strengthen and expand or deepening their free and open Indo-Pacific into the ASEAN framework. So from your perspective, in the future, can the free and open Indo-Pacific overcome the Belt and Road initiative of China?
The free and open Indo-Pacific by strategic design intends to challenge China presence in the region, especially the Belt and Road initiative, right? So this kind of competition or structural competition between the U.S. and China will be a long-term issue. So ASEAN fully understands and aware of the risk stemming from the U.S.-China competition and rivalries. So 2 years ago, 2019, ASEAN adopted what it is called ASEAN Outlook on the Indo-Pacific, the AOIP, which is kind of prescribes some of the norms and principles that ASEAN wish to socialize among themselves and also between ASEAN and dialogue partners. And also is the mechanism for ASEAN to navigate through these kind of geopolitical rivalries. So implementing that AOIP would be one of the utmost important mechanism that ASEAN need to carry out. So implementing or operationalizing AOIP, promoting ASEAN norms when it comes to inclusions, openness, rule-based, for instance. So those are some of the key norms, and this mechanism can build a certain degree of synergies or complementarities between and among different initiatives in this region. So ASEAN in this regard need to stay united and maintain its centrality role to shape a regional architecture and to make sure that the region is not divided into two blocks, one block pro-China and one block pro the United States.
Okay, so Dr. President, during the visit of Madam Vice President, she also highlighted the firm position of the U.S. regarding with the South China Sea. So why is the South China Sea still relevant and important for the U.S., even though the U.S. is not the claimant state?
The South China Sea is one of the most important kind of sea lanes in the world. More than 60% of GDP is located here in these regions. So the protection of safe maritime sea lanes, freedom of the seas, and freedom of navigation, our flight is paramount to everyone, including the US, China, Japan, and ASEAN, of course. So I think there's a matter of defining the boundary of this kind of international law with regards to this kind of freedom of navigations. And the South China Sea is again is a chronic issue when it comes to maritime disputes. So overlapping claims, for instance, so how to resolve these overlapping claims in the South China Sea. And we have seen several episodes of tensions in this region from time to time, and it's not surprising to see several intention or incident in the near future, right? So I think what the U.S. trying to do is to create what the U.S. call integrated deterrence strategy against China by enabling and empowering maritime capabilities of the claimant state, especially in this case, Vietnam. So that's why the U.S. is going to support the naval capabilities building of Vietnam in order to challenge China in the South China Sea.
Okay, so while the U.S. is withdrawing its troops from the Afghanistan, the U.S. also moved their gland or make a visit to ASEAN. So can this infer or indicate that ASEAN is the new priority region for the U.S. after Afghanistan?
Well, this is an interesting time to observe the repositioning of the U.S. strategic focus and military presence. So it's not sure at this stage how the U.S. relocate its forces right after Afghanistan. But I believe that the U.S. will need to pay more attention to these regions because of the economic and also security and strategic interests. So it has been a while since the Barack Obama pivot to Asia or rebalancing toward Asia strategy have been implemented, and now Indo-Pacific strategy. So the strategic objective remain the same, which is to check the rising power of China, right? Maybe they have different tactics operation on the ground, but the strategic intention and objective remain the same. So Southeast Asia or the Asia Pacific or Indo-Pacific remain the priority of the U.S. strategy, especially this 21st century, right? Because the 21st century will be written by what happens in the Indo-Pacific. So that I believe that in the post-Afghanistan, the U.S. will need more support from the region, need to increase more presence in this region in order to maintain the U.S. military supremacy in the Indo-Pacific.
Thank you, Dr. President. So, as far as we know, that Brunei will hand over one of the heavy burden to Cambodia, which is the 2022 ASEAN chairmanship. And based on that, what we imply from the visit of Madam Vice President of the United States is the U.S. is trying to signal Cambodia that please be ready. The South China Sea and the U.S.-China rivalry will be the main issue in 2022. And if that's so, what should Cambodia prepare in order to respond or try to avoid the problem that are raising with, from that two problems?
Obviously, we cannot avoid the problem. The problem will come. But the key issue here, the matter here is how we manage it, right? In a way that will not lead to the division of ASEAN or disunity within ASEAN. Because Cambodia foreign policy have been clear that ASEAN is the cornerstone of Cambodia foreign policy. So because it's a small and open economy and country, so Cambodia cannot survive and strive alone. It needs to be connected to the region. And ASEAN is regarded as a shield or stepping stone for Cambodia to outreach to the region and the world at large. So as a chair of ASEAN next year, of course, it's heavy burden, heavy responsibility for Cambodia to build consensus within ASEAN on certain sensitive regional issues, such as Myanmar, unfolding political crisis in Myanmar, the security issue in the South China Sea. So these are the two main issues that we need to manage in a way that will not harm our broader common regional interests in the region, especially in the post-pandemic social economic recovery. So our focus need to stick to this post-pandemic social economic recovery because all of us have been suffering and going to suffer, and how to regain back the kind of poverty reduction momentum, how to regain back this kind of living quality, living standards, livelihoods of the people, and so on. So this is the priority of Cambodia as the chair, is to recover stronger from this pandemic. And of course, we need to pay attention to security, but should not allow the differences on security matter to overtake or overwhelm our cooperation on economic and social matters.
Dr. President, is it possible that Cambodia may encounter some obstacle or problem during the negotiation or like reach any deadlock to issue any statement or outcome document during our chairmanship in 2022, just like what we have been accused so far in 2012?
It's hard to predict. It's hard to say at this stage, but other members of ASEAN need to understand the Cambodian position and interest, right? That put common interest ahead, ASEAN interest first, and need to understand the differences when it comes to sensitive issues like Myanmar and the South China Sea. We cannot use, for example, enforce other members to adopt a certain position that doesn't serve the common interest of ASEAN, right? So that consultation and consensus building are the key principle of ASEAN, and we need to maintain this kind of momentum in order to build, maintain this ASEAN centrality and unity. We cannot talk about ASEAN centrality without unity, right? So So we need to, to have a broader perspective, a regional perspective on what are at stakes and what are the agreements, common interests, and what are certain disagreements. And we need to find way to expand the area of cooperation and narrow the area of differences, and don't let the differences to overshadow the area of cooperations.
Ladies and gentlemen, our program has now come to an end. So I would like to thank Dr. President for spending your priceless time attending or participating in our show today. So thank you, Dr. President.
Thank you.
So ladies and gentlemen, thank you and see you again next week. Thank you.